Welcome to the Entrepreneur Podcast, where we take a look inside the lives of the accomplished and successful businessmen and women. We'll get up close and personal with the founders of booming startups. So lean in and prepare to carry away something to skyrocket your own business. Please subscribe to our show and do leave us a review. It means a lot to us. Now, here's your host, Rajiv.
Hey listeners, welcome to the Entrepreneur Talk Show. I'm your host Rajiv Unikrishnan, and this is the show where we talk about entrepreneurship and speak to great founders, entrepreneurs, and investors. Today we have with us Tanvi Bharadwaj, co-founder and CTO of MishiPay. Welcome, Tanvi.
Hi Rajiv, how are you?
I'm fine. Just a brief intro. MishiPay is a new retail payment startup which allows shoppers to pick up a product they wish to buy, scan the barcode with their mobile device, and pay with the same and walk out of the store, completely eliminating the idea of queuing up at the POS or point of sales. A brief on Tanvi, she currently lives in Bangalore and prior to MishiPay was with a few software houses in India and the UK and has won a few awards, starting from the Anita Borg Women in Entrepreneurship Award and many more during her at MishiPay. Again, Tanvi, welcome to the show. Do let us know what's going on in your world today and also do fill in the gaps, if any, in the intro.
I think that mostly covered it. A very brief introduction, I would say.
Correct.
But yeah, that mostly covered it. So what do you want to know?
So, first, before we get into the product or business, any passions outside of work?
Passions outside of work would be I love children. I want to do something for children someday.
Okay.
When the time allows and when I have the financial ability to be able to do something for them. I would love to do that. Apart from that, general stuff. I like playing games. I love basketball. I don't
Great.
know.
All right.
Outside of work, there's not much time to do
All
much
right.
stuff in this.
So, just a brief. Could you give us a brief on, of course, your background, and leading up to the idea of actually coming to MishiPay?
Right. So I come from Kolkata, and I have done my schooling mostly from a boarding school in
Okay.
Uttarakhand, and where I was very actively involved in all kinds of things, sports, uh, literary activities, academics, everything here and there. But I always knew that computer science is my passion, and computer science is what I want to study. So straight when I was out of school, I went to the University of Manchester and I did my computer systems engineering course from there, and which proved to be very, very interesting. And I quite liked what I studied there.
Great.
But I always knew I wanted to stay in India and work here. I did not want to, attempt to work
Okay.
outside the country at all. So while I was studying there, I interned at an Indian startup in Bangalore. It
Okay.
was called ChatGPT. And I interned with them for about 2.5 months, and I had a ball of a time, and I really liked the people there. And they quite liked me as well, I suppose, because that's when they told me that they want me to come back after I finish my final year at
Oh,
university.
super.
So I
All right.
sure. So then, after finishing my final year, I came back to Bangalore. I joined the team. I worked with them for about 2 years. I built their iOS platform from scratch, and which helped them get to about a 3 million, helped them get to 3 million active users.
Oh, excellent.
Their app. Um, but post that they got acquired by another bigger successful startup. And around at the same time, so a friend of mine, Mustafa, who is my co-founder and CEO, MishiPay, he is someone who went to the University of Manchester as well, and he was studying there at the same time. Just that he was doing a different course. So he was doing mechatronics while I was doing computer systems. So I met him there, and we became friends. Um, so he came up with the idea for MishiPay. Actually, it's funny because one day he was standing in a queue himself in a grocery store, and he just wanted to buy a can of Coke, and he was standing in a queue for about 15 minutes, which is when it struck him, and he thought that there should be a better way to do this in the 21st century,
Okay.
obviously, and we shouldn't have to wait for 15 to 20 minutes to buy just a can of Coke. And he had like a background in electronics, and he had just studied about RFID technology, and he knew about everything else, about mobile apps, about cloud and everything. So he put all of that together in his head and came up with the idea for MishiPay. And he thought, how convenient would it be if we could just walk into a store and pick up our phone and scan barcodes of things we want, and then pay
Right.
within the phone itself, and then take the items and leave, right? Without having to look for a counter, without having to queue up anywhere at all. And along with that, what the added, the USP of MishiPay that he actually came up with was, so he thought that just having scan pay leave would not be adequate, because obviously it would not be a valuable proposition for
Correct.
retailers. They would want to ensure that nothing is stolen from their store. So, which is when he thought of attaching RFID technology with the rest of the idea, and that's what we use. So we use RFID tags on all the items, and that allows us to track which items have been bought, which items haven't been bought. So if a person tries to leave the store without paying, then the alarms or the gates go off.
Okay. Okay.
Essentially, yeah. So yeah, that was anyway, I digressed from there. So Mustafa thought of the idea and he got in touch with me. I was working here in a startup, and I absolutely loved the idea, obviously. And I came on board immediately. Around the same time, the startup was getting acquired, so I had like a quite a lucrative offer on the table from the acquiring company as well.
Okay.
But then I think, yeah, I took the call and I left that and I came on MishiPay full time.
Great.
And since then, we've had like brilliant amount of progress. We've done a lot of work together, and we've enjoyed every bit of it.
Great. So, what's the vision for the company?
The vision for the company is, so essentially we've started with eliminating queues, right, in
Correct.
stores.
Correct.
And what we want it to be is not just a queue eliminating app. We want it to be the shopping app to go to. So essentially, if, for example, you have the MishiPay app and you go into a store and you want to buy things, and you pick up items, you end up buying them, whatever. Or if you want to go to a store and then, say, for example, you go to a home center or something and you just scan sofas and things, and then you say, deliver this to my home. And the same app handles it, and then everything's delivered to your house. Or if you're sitting at your home and you want to go through catalogs of things, and then you say, okay, I want this, and the same app handles that for you.
Yeah. Yeah.
So essentially, something that is truly like, omni-channel, that bridges the gap between shopping offline and shopping online, right? Because even though e-commerce has become quite huge over the past few years,
Correct.
offline shopping still constitutes 90% of
Absolutely.
the retail market.
Yep.
So it's a huge chunk, and so we need to be able to find the best of both worlds, and that is what we're trying to do with MishiPay.
All right. Great. So now coming to the product, so I mean, it's simply the shoppers can scan the codes and then it gets automatically paid for. So scan, pay, leave. And of course, from the retailer side, you have the RFID security. So just give our listeners a more detailed view of how everything works.
How everything works. So
A brief.
in terms of what? In terms of how it would be for a user? For
For a user and
shopper?
also for the shopper and also from the retailer side.
Okay. So for a shopper, like I explained earlier, they would simply just enter a store, and after they've picked up an item, they'll open the MishiPay app on their phone, which allows them to log in through their social media or using just their phone number or an email or whatever. After they've done that, it's a one-time login thing initially, and it's very simple. It's a one-step thing, and then it opens straight to the scanner, and then you point your scanner towards the barcode. The barcode is identified by our system immediately, and it shows up the details of the item along with the picture, a nice description, the price, and everything on the screen, so that you can be sure you've actually scanned the correct item.
Yep.
Then you can simply add it to your cart. Like the experience post that is essentially very similar to what you've seen with e-commerce applications, right? With an Amazon, with a Flipkart, it's actually the same thing. You add things to your cart, and then you go to pay, and then your payment options are very similar. You could have credit, debit card, you could have your payment wallets, you could have Apple Pay, you could have net banking, that sort of thing. As soon as you're done paying, the security on all of those items that you've just bought is disabled through cloud,
Okay.
by MishiPay, and then so that when you walk out of the store, you can walk out freely.
Got
Right.
it.
However,
Got
if you try to walk out with one of those items without paying for them, then the alarms would go off immediately.
it. Okay. All right. And so is it is it similar to the Amazon grocery offline model which they've just launched in New York?
Yeah, actually, Amazon Go, it's quite similar to the idea of Amazon
Okay.
Go.
Yeah. Yeah.
So actually, the day Amazon Go came out, we were quite excited at seeing it because it clearly indicates the direction in which
Abs-
retail technology is moving in.
absolutely.
So essentially, what we say is we give similar level of experience. We
Hmm.
give you the same experience that Amazon Go would, but without having to go through all of that technology change, all of that investment that you have to make for getting an Amazon Go in your store. So currently, for putting the entire setup of Amazon Go in a store, it would take tens of thousands of dollars or pounds,
Hmm.
right? You would have to put huge amounts of equipment, security equipment, cameras, a, a lot of sensors and things like that. However, with MishiPay, what we've done is we work with existing systems of retailers,
Okay. Okay.
right?
Okay.
One, we integrate with their existing, EPOS or with their current database systems. Second, we use their existing barcodes. So we don't expect them to change to
Absolutely.
QR or any other sort of unique coding system. We work with their existing barcodes, right? And third, all that the retailers are required to do if they want to onboard MishiPay is like put RFID gates at the exits and put RFID in all their items. And nowadays, with a lot of retailers already moving to RFID because of the benefits that they see in
Hmm.
terms of inventory management, in terms of managing everything through the supply chain, a lot of retailers have already moved to RFID, like Decathlon, like American Apparel,
Oh,
like
okay.
Zara. A lot of them are already on RFID. So for retailers like those, it would eliminate even that step of putting RFID on your items. So all you would need is RFID gates at your exit. And then, what MishiPay would do is retailers are already getting the benefits of inventory management, of tracking, of,
Hmm.
everything with RFID. They would also start getting the added benefit of security and self checkout with
Okay.
MishiPay.
Okay. So you're currently marketing only in India. So
No, actually, we're looking at Europe, India, and Middle East.
okay.
So, MishiPay essentially is headquartered in London. So,
Okay.
we started out of London, which is where our first, sales outreach was. So, our trials, our first alpha trials
Yep.
were also in London,
Okay.
and yeah, so it's mostly in Europe and India.
Great. I mean, so the stats you had shared with me, pilot projects with I think 5 big retailers, 50 stores or more, and of course one rollout, one full rollout. So has that changed anyway?
No, those are things that we aspire to do within
Ah,
the year.
okay.
Yeah.
So how many pilots are going on right now? I mean, since you have launched.
So we did our first alpha trials in a British men's fashion store and accessories kind of store in
Okay.
London in
Okay.
Spitalfields Market, and that was a 6 week trial, and it went really well. We had about 60% conversion
Great.
of
Okay.
people. They chose to not use the till and instead use MishiPay,
Mm-hmm.
and there was zero cases of stealing at all,
Mm-hmm.
and we proved that we could check out in 20 seconds,
Oh, super.
right?
Okay.
In just 20 seconds. So from there on, we went on to develop a partnership successfully with global giants like Cisco, and then Cisco introduced us to Deloitte, so we formed a partnership with Deloitte.
Mm-hmm.
Then we deployed MishiPay in Deloitte store in London. So Deloitte have a store of the future in London called Clerk and Green, where they have deployed in-house retail technologies, which they invite retailers and like generally retailers in and around Europe to come
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
view firsthand. So MishiPay is the self-checkout technology at that store that they have. And post that, what we're doing is we are currently in conversations with few of the biggest retailers around the world. One of the biggest in India as well, one of the biggest fashion department stores in India we are in conversation with.
Okay.
Then one of the biggest French fashion retailers we're in conversation. So we have quite a few. One of the biggest Swedish retailers we're in conversation with. So we have quite a few big projects that we are looking at in the pipeline within the next few months or so.
Okay.
which would be for initially for a pilot and then gradually to roll
Okay.
out with the
I
stores.
think
Yeah.
it's a super technology what you all are doing. So your system would basically complement the current systems that they already have, right? Initially, at least.
Complement the current payment systems.
I mean, it'll be another alternate to them, right?
Yeah, in a way. So
Okay.
essentially, the proposition that we have for the retailers is a few things. So first is they have all of these cash machines or cash counters, right?
Yeah.
So we say that with MishiPay, you would need fewer of those cash counters because more and more people would be able to use self checkout, with more and more people would be able to do their own billing on their phones. So instead of having your staff, your valuable staff behind the counter doing just the billing, you would be able to have them on the floor to actually do some sales for you, to
Correct.
help out customers, to sort of make them cross the bridge when they have to, in terms of whether I want to buy, I don't want to buy, that sort of thing. So you can actually make much more valuable use of your staff with fewer cash counters. And also the fact that these cash machines that a lot of retailers have, they're very, very expensive equipment, and they're just sitting and depreciating there for, in terms of, in peak hours it makes sense because all of them are being used.
Yep. Yep.
In off peak hours, a lot of them are not being used. If there are 10 cash counters, then probably only two of them are
Correct.
being used. Eight of them are just sitting there, right? So that's like a huge cost on a retailer's account. So which is what we are saying, that with MishiPay, in peak hours you have as many phones, as many cash counters as you want. In off peak you have as many as you want. So it's got nothing to do with any sort of burden or cost on you at all.
Absolutely. So, any funding on the horizon?
Yeah, so we've raised our pre-seed round already,
Okay.
and we closed it very recently in December. And now, around the end of the first quarter, we'll be looking to start raising our seed round.
Okay. And this is
Um,
it was who was the investor in this? Was it like confidential or?
it was mostly all individual angel
Okay.
investors.
Okay. Angels.
Pre-seed
Okay.
was an angel round.
Okay.
Yeah,
Great. Great.
the seed round would be a slightly bigger round
Okay.
with VCs coming into play and things like that.
All right. And what's the current team size look like?
So we are currently a team of 7 people, 4 in London and 3 in India.
Okay. So your development happens in India.
It's mostly a mix. So essentially,
Okay.
yeah. So the way we've divided it is, I stay in India and my co-founder, he stays in London.
All right.
So I keep shuttling between London and here. I stay about 6 months in India, 6 months in London,
Okay.
and he stays about 9 months there, 3 months here. That
Okay.
way. So I handle the tech and the design. So that happens here mostly. He handles sales, business, and the electronics.
Okay.
Sales, marketing, and the electronics. So that happens there.
All right. Great. So moving out of product and business, coming to so I mean, you've worked for different companies. So when did you know you were meant for entrepreneurship, for starting your own company?
Well, actually, there was no such moment like that as such.
Correct. Correct.
It was mostly, I mean, for me, it has always been about whether I'm liking what I'm doing or not, right? It like, even when I was looking for a job, I did have offers from much bigger companies, and I did have offers for much bigger pays,
Yeah. Yep.
which I was being told by my family that you should go ahead and take that, and it's going to be much nicer. This, that, they're bigger names. But I never felt like I would. I mean, I wasn't liking the kind of work I was being offered. So I went to a place I liked. I went to a place where I was more comfortable, more happy, and I had more challenging work to do. So as soon as at my previous startup, I started feeling like, okay, there's not much that I'm getting to do. I started looking out for bigger opportunities, and that's exactly when MishiPay came along. And I didn't get into MishiPay with the idea of being a co-founder or being the entrepreneur in it or something like that. I got into it because I loved the idea and I thought I would work hard for it.
Great. Okay.
And yeah, so it just happened. I got into it, and we figured, and yeah, everything just fell into place.
Okay.
There was no such
Okay.
moment, I would say.
And over time, who has inspired you?
Who has inspired me?
Yeah.
Again, I would say no single person. I mean,
Okay.
I keep taking
Fair
inspiration
enough.
from anyone, everyone around me
Okay.
all the time.
All right.
Like I for example, my sister is a very, very hardworking individual, so I respect her for that, or for what my father has achieved, I respect him for that. There are little things I keep taking from everyone around me, even my baby cousin sister. I would
Okay.
take things from her, so it's mostly like that.
All
There
right.
are a lot of influences in my life,
Got it.
like a lot. Yeah.
And I mean, from all these influencers or anyone else, I mean, what's some of the best advice you have been given?
The best advice, I mean, this was in my growing up years, and I was just having a conversation with my dad one day, and I was just telling him, I feel like I want to. I knew I wanted to do computer sciences, and or else I was really interested in art or painting or
Correct.
whatever.
Correct.
So I was having a conversation with my father, and I was like, Dad, I feel like I don't want to study too much, and I feel I really enjoy while I paint. So I feel like I should go ahead and do this, or if I feel like, I said, I'll decide. It's either one of these or whatever. So I said, generally people say being an artist, it's not all that rewarding initially, at least, and you don't know. It's like a hard place to be in traditionally. This that. And I said, would you be okay with whatever? So then he was like, I would just, there's only one thing I will tell you, do what you like doing. Otherwise, there's no point of doing it. If you don't
Yep.
enjoy
Yep.
what you're doing, there's no point. So that's exactly how I try to do my work. The minute I start not enjoying it or not liking it, I start thinking that, okay, probably this is not for
Very
me.
true. All right. And where do you see yourself and your business in the next 2 to 3 years?
Hopefully, a lot of people using MishiPay, probably you as well,
Of course.
use
Why not?
MishiPay, shop with it.
Yeah.
And yeah, I mean, that's what I would want for, MishiPay to
Yeah.
grow to greater heights
Yeah,
and
you should come to
cut queues.
yeah, you should come to Singapore. It's a good test market for you.
Yeah, definitely
Yeah,
someday.
yeah. So now we move to a part of the show which is quick fire round, simple, brief answers. All right. So when people ask you, what do you do? How do you answer that?
What do I do?
Yeah.
It's a difficult question. It takes a while to make them understand. So I just say I'm it depends from people to people. From people who I would expect to understand, I just say, okay, I have a startup of my own.
Okay.
For slightly older people, much older people, whom it would take a really long time to explain, I just say I do computer sciences.
Okay.
That's what I do.
So what's the first word that comes to mind when I say work?
I don't know. Fun for me right now.
Family?
Uh, Support.
Entrepreneurship?
Exciting.
Technology?
Just a second, Rajiv. Technology, essential but should not be controlling.
Okay. And food?
I love it. That's all I
Okay.
have to say.
And which application or service are you using for your travel needs?
For my travel needs,
Yeah.
mostly Make My Trip.
All right, great. What's one piece of tech you can't live without?
Um, I don't know. I don't. I mean, I think I can live without all sorts of tech actually.
Okay,
But yeah, slow internet really irritates me.
correct. And what do you excel at that people might not realize?
What do I excel at? Um, I think there's one thing that I can be good at is keeping my calm
Okay.
in a lot of tense situations,
Yeah,
which people might not really realize that obviously, but yeah, I don't get panicked or I don't get hastened very easily.
great. And your favorite city globally?
I don't know. I would say Kolkata because it's my home, but
Hmm.
I don't stay there as much. So
Okay,
just because it's my home, no other
correct.
reason.
Yeah. All right, great. And finally, Tanvi, any last thought or piece of advice for our listeners?
I mean, I don't know. It'll sound repetitive. I just said it so many times in this interview. Just do what you like doing, guys. Never feel pressure to do what you don't want to do.
Great. And please let our listeners know how they can reach you and also MishiPay.
Well, yeah. All my contact details are on the MishiPay website. You can
Okay.
write to me. My personal email is right there.
All
So
right. Great.
whoever wants to get in touch.
All right,
Yeah.
great. Again, Tanvi, thanks for taking the time to talk to us and inspiring our listeners to start their own ventures, and all the very best at scaling MishiPay.
Thank you, Rajiv. It was really fun
All
to
right.
speak to you as well.
So do visit mishipay.com and visit us at theasianentrepreneur.com to get the show notes, and also subscribe to our show on all the platforms and leave a review on your thoughts about the show. Thank you.
Thank you for listening, and please subscribe to the show so you don't miss an episode. In the meantime, head over to theasianentrepreneur.com and check out show notes and other information to motivate you in your entrepreneurial endeavors.